Hello and welcome back to the Animal Communicator and Healer Summit. This is the place for aspiring and established animal communicators and healers to connect with animals, to connect with their abilities, and to connect with each other. I'm your host, Dr. Kara Gubbins, founder of the Animal Wisdom Circle and creator of How to Talk to Your Pet, the proven 4-step system that teaches anyone and everyone how to communicate intuitively with their pets or with any animal. And today, Madison King is joining us from sunny Spain, and we are going to be talking about energy medicine for animals. Animals have always been a part of Madison King's life: horses, cats, dogs. And because of this deep-seated love, it was almost inevitable that her work in the human energy medicine field would spill over to animals. The author of 2 books, Energy Medicine for Your Cat and Energy Medicine for Your Dog, Madison loves sharing easy, practical tips and techniques to empower your pet care and you. A class with Madison is always fun, and you will walk away with tools you can use straight away. You can find Madison online at madisonking.com. Welcome, Madison.
Thank you, Claire. It's fabulous to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
I'm really excited to meet you and finally get the chance to talk to you, because I've been hearing about you and your work from people who are taking animal communication classes from me, and they take energy medicine for animals from you. And so it's just really a privilege and an honor to get to connect with you and meet you at last.
Oh, thank you, Kara. Thank you.
So, and I love this topic. I love everything about energy, and especially when we can use energy to heal ourselves. But before we jump into it, let's start with your story. How did you become an energy medicine expert for animals?
Well, Kara, I am not sure if I would term myself an expert, okay? I'll tell you for why. Because in this field, I always seem to be learning something. It's almost like working in this area is like entering an enormous Aladdin's cave. Okay, I am always learning new techniques, new wisdoms, if you want, from my own experience, from reading, from my students. So in some ways, I think of myself as still a student, a perpetual student of energy medicine. Okay, but how did I get to where I am now? Well, as a young girl, I really turned my nose up at dolls and pretty pink dresses and everything. And I embraced with sheer delight in every cell of my body, mucking out the horses, walking the dogs, being with my pony. And that was my whole world. I've always lived with animals, Clara. And it's like, I really do believe that the energetic bond that we create with our animal companions, whatever age we are, if we have that bond just by being with them by osmosis, just by gentle stroking with them, we connect to them and we have the power to ignite that inner healer in them. Okay, and I would say at the beginning, I would say to all my students, never underestimate the simplest things of energy medicine, and resist the temptation to get complex, because some of the things, just gentle stroking with that heart connection, will help your animal. And it can be much more profound and effective than the most complex acupressure technique or something. Anyway, back to me, okay, my favorite subject here. I used to make television commercials, and in my 30s, I decided didn't really want to do that for the rest of my life. So I started studying massage, reflexology, aromatherapy, nutrition, all these things. Then I met an amazing woman called Donna Eden from the States. She is the founder of the Eden Method. And in those days, there was no computer highway, so I'd go back and forwards to the States, and I'd learn energy medicine from Donna over on the West Coast of America. Come back, and I would be working with humans, but pretty soon I realized that what works for the humans would also work for the animals. It was so easy. It was a natural evolution, and it was seamless to use the energy medicine on my animals. So my own animals, all the animals of my friends and human clients, were all my guinea pigs. And I would adapt certain things did not need adaptation or anything. And then I started teaching it, and I wrote the books. And I wrote the books deliberately in a very layman term, because quite frankly, even children can use energy medicine with their pets. I wanted to emphasize that it's not brain surgery, it's not complicated, it's really simple, it's easy, and it's free. So I realized when I started writing and teaching, or when the books got published rather, and through my teaching, that the response and the emails I got from people, I thought absolutely, it confirmed what I thought, that it wasn't just me. I'm not special at all. Anyone can do this. And if you have an open heart and just follow a few very basic, I don't like to say rules, but guidelines, if you want, you can really activate that sort of self-healing in your animal companion. So that's how I arrived. It was a natural process.
I love that. And I think that so many people can relate to that because we're all animal lovers, and
Yes.
whatever we do for ourselves, we want to share it with the animals in our lives. And I love, I love so many things about what you said. So let me just love some stuff for a minute here. I love how you demystify it, you make it simple, you make it accessible, and that you can bring it down to just a few general principles. If we just follow those principles,
Mm.
we'll be in good shape. And so I want to talk about that more specifically, but for people who don't know what energy medicine is, can you just describe what you mean by that term, energy medicine?
Indeed, it's a very wide term, okay? But for me, energy medicine is being able to be calm, to connect to a sort of stillness within yourself. That's the first thing. And from that stillness, then to be able to connect to and move the energy in a body, whether it's my own energy, another human being, or an animal. Okay, and moving it in certain ways that, if you want, takes it back to an energetic default mode. Let's go very modern, default mode. Because if a body, whether it's human or animal, is where it should be energetically, the self-healing potential is amazing. Okay, we're hardwired to heal. And energy medicine just reminds our body of that fact. There's one golden rule in energy medicine, and that is whatever energy system you are working with, and there are several, the energy has to flow. It has to move. The minute energy becomes constricted or blocked or in any way impeded, it begins to stagnate. And then the body becomes very vulnerable to dis-ease of any kind, injury, trauma. Um, so energy medicine can be preventative, and it's also curative in the sense that, do you remember Gulliver's Travels? How Gulliver goes to the land of the little people and he's tied down with all these guy ropes. And sometimes I think the inner healer that every animal has, every human has, is like Gulliver. It gets tied down with a load of rubbish, a load of conditioning, a load of fears, a load of worries, a load of stress, a load of anxieties. And energy medicine comes along and just simply cuts those guy ropes so that the inner healer can actually get up and do what it's supposed to do to really function. Okay, so there's two key, so that's the theory behind energy medicine, to release that Gulliver, to release that energy healer inside. The how-to of that is twofold, really. First of all, it's working on the premise that every thought you have has a vibration, has an energy. So it's best to set an energetic intention. So you're going to cultivate belief in yourself, belief that you can help your animal, belief in your animal's self-healing ability. So you set the intention for what you're going to do. It could be something as simple as, it is now safe for me to work with, one of my dogs is called Merlin, so I use his as an example. with Merlin's energies today to help and heal. All is well. Just very simple. Set the field, basically. And then you're going to use your hands. It's very unobtrusive. We don't use needles or anything in energy medicine. We just use our hands either on the body or, and this is often a really good thing if an animal doesn't like to be touched, in the field, in the biofield, in the aura of the animal. And we just use our hands to move and influence the flow of energy. So that's basically it. We set the intention, we move the energy. It's natural, it's organic. And what I love about it, and I've always loved it, is the worst it can possibly do is nothing, you know? So that's in a nutshell, energy medicine.
So you're really working in harmony with the body to restore the conditions that allow healing to happen in a very simple, generous, loving, non-confrontational
Yes.
way.
You summed it up very well there.
I was listening.
That's perfect. That's perfect. You were listening. That was absolutely it. Absolutely it. Yeah.
So as you've been on this journey, how have you found humans and animals to be similar or different in their energy fields and how energy moves through them?
We are basically the same. Okay, we're made up of those various energy systems, meridians, chakras, electrics, Celtic weaves, all these different systems. But there are nuances. For example, one nuance is I feel that when I'm working with horses, specifically horses and dogs, not so much on cats. I'm a cat lover, by the way. I'm not saying anything against cats, but with horses and dogs, whereas our human heart chakra tends to come out at the front and, embrace life from here, animals, horses and dogs come out there as well, but they also have a much bigger heart chakra. It's very dominant and it will come out the shoulders. It really is much bigger. And that's why I'm sure any of you who've got horses or dogs know that so often they love that compression on the shoulders because it goes beyond muscular comfort. It is also really, when you're holding a dog or a horse on the shoulders here, it's really connecting to their heart chakra. But whether it's an animal or a human, the energies still need to move. And if I'm absolutely honest, working with animals is, I would say, almost always much easier than working with humans, okay? Because with animals, you don't have all that mental chatter, that resistance. There's less judgment, less hang-ups, all those kinds of things. And with an animal, you can achieve in a matter of minutes what it might take you an hour or more with a human to achieve. So building on that, I would say to you, don't think, oh God, I normally do an hour on a human, I better do an hour on an animal. Sometimes what you need to achieve, what that animal needs, is achievable literally in a few minutes. The other thing I'd mention with the similarity between the species with energies is I work a lot with the 5-element philosophy. Now, this is something which either grabs your attention or doesn't, okay? You can read up on it. I love it. And the way I use it with animals, if one can define the primary element of your animal, it will give you enormous clues onto what will stress that animal, how that animal likes to be communicated with, and also its strengths and weaknesses emotionally and physically. So a very simple example might be if I was working with a horse that was predominantly wood element. Every being on this planet has all 5 elements, which, if you're not familiar with, are water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. Okay, so say I was working with a horse that was wood. We all will probably know horses like this. They don't want too much petting. It's like, okay, Maddie, just get on with it now. What are you going to do? Yep, do it properly. Don't faff around. Boom, boom. They're very factual. It's not that they're cold or anything, but they are oriented towards action, doing it. You need to gain that horse's respect. They need to feel you know what you're doing.
Mm.
And that would be very different to if I was working with a horse that was predominantly an earth element. They're the mummies of the 5 elements. So it would be, hello, my darling, how are you? The tone of voice would be different. You connect with them much more through that heart and softness and gentleness, whereas that approach might drive the wood horse. It might aggravate the wood horse. Same applies, by the way, to your husband or wife. You know, it
So
really
wait, how do you know
helps
my
relationships when you know what element you are, you know. Um, the other thing, building on that similarity of energy, is if you can get your own energy balanced, okay, then by sheer osmosis, you will help balance your animal, the animal you're working with. So if you're not balanced, whatever technique you use is not going to be as effective as if you yourself are grounded and balanced and are connected to that stillness inside. So can I share with you, only take a second, 1 minute, a real sort of go-to technique working on that osmosis? Okay, so if you have your dog, your cat, your horse in front of you, go to that still place, smile, take a nice deep breath, and then figure of 8 between their heart and your heart. And you might say something like, all is well, you are safe, I am here. And you smile and you just cross over the energies. And those 2 energy systems will cross with that Tibetan figure of 8, that symbol of infinity. So yeah, very similar, the energy systems, but there are nuances.
And
Yeah.
so talking about those 5 elements, I'm sure it's like you could meet somebody and know right away what their dominant element is at this point. But for somebody who's like intrigued by that, can you go a little deeper and explain a little more how we might go about determining what the dominant one is and how to work with that?
Yeah, I do an entire week's workshop on that. That is the question everyone asks, okay? And it is very difficult to know exactly. And you can read on it. Donna Eden's daughter, Dondi Darlin, um, has done a couple of YouTube clips. What I may do is hunt them down and I'll put them up on my blog, on my website. So anyone who's interested, who's never really come across it, you can see a little bit more. But for example, if you have a water dog, they're dizzy, they're very fluid. Think of water. Water can go anywhere. Okay, so they're playful. They're having a wonderful time. They can tend to sulk a bit if they don't get their own way. Think of the sort of terrible the kids, you know, when they don't get their own way and they have a little sulk. But a water, let's stick with dogs. A water dog would be wanting to play all the time and having great fun. You do notice with a water dog a deep wisdom in their eyes. Because whilst there is that superficial playfulness, those are the dogs that you just say, oh my goodness, I'm looking at centuries of wisdom in this dog. Woods are very much get things done. You know, I am, you know, they may be the guard dogs or something. I'm here, I've got a job to do, I'm going to do it. Because in human terms, wood element, the water elements have the vision and the woods are the doers. They turn that vision into reality. Fires are just fun. I don't know what I should say breeds, but red setters, okay? The color is fire and they're dizzy and they're just so fun and they're childlike and they're in the moment. You know, that marks a fire. And when you're with a fire dog or animal, you are the center of their attention and you're with them all the time. Earth dogs would be the mummy dogs. They are the mothers, and they will always be looking after you. Very easy to train an earth dog, because they always want to please you. You know, sometimes at their own expense. Now, metal is slightly different, and in my book, I was trying to think of a metal dog, and it's very difficult, okay, because dogs, by definition, tend not to be detached. So what I do say is metals are best described as a cat. And I had a cat called Mumpkin who passed last year, and she was typical metal. She would sit there and go, "You may stroke me if you wish, but not too much." Okay, that's enough. Go away now. You know, that real sort of metal detachment. Metals need to process. They don't like to be surprised. And there is this, they are very wise and they're very kind, but they do have this sort of certain detachment. Now, that's a top line on thousands of years of observation by the amazing Oriental doctors and philosophers that built up the five element philosophy. But if it touches a nerve on you, look up on it, because especially with communication, it's another layer that will help communicate with your animal to or give you that little nuance on how to connect with them. Yeah.
I feel like anything that helps us understand each other better just builds that bond and strengthens that in all these different ways.
Yes, absolutely. And this is one of them. It really does. And on human terms as well, it's really helpful.
I feel like it's a rabbit hole. You could spend a lifetime studying
Oh,
that.
to me, when I discovered five elements, it was like that was a real Aladdin's cave. And it has helped me so much in my life not take things personally,
Mm.
because an animal or a human, they will respond under stress as their element dictates. It's not you, it's about their element. So fascinating area to get into.
Yeah. So let's talk about like how we might approach, using energy medicine to promote healing in the animals that we love. You already mentioned just really simple stroking and doing that figure 8 between you and the animal. Is there anything else that we need to know about to understand how energy medicine works to promote healing in our animals?
Um, yes, I mean, first of all, think of yourself as an enabler for this whole self-healing scenario, okay? And I would say, let me bullet point it, okay? First of all, look to yourself. So if your animal companion rather, has something not right, first of all, is it mirroring something in you? Because working with animals, so often I find it's the owner that has a problem, and the animal is simply mirroring that. So work with the with the owner as well as the animal. It's often a message. Um, I would again emphasize, get really balanced so that by osmosis you're supporting anything that you do. Now, if you are a dog or a cat owner, and of course this applies to other animals as well, these are just the three kinds which I deal mostly with. If you're working in an urban area, for example, urban animals have much more of a, what would you call it, toxic load to deal with in their environment. And one of the best things you can do as a preventative and as a cure, if you want, is to work with their aura. So with their aura, you could just fluff it out. Imagine you're shaking up a duvet. So the thicker and more robust their aura is, the more they're able to cope with the environmental toxins, if you want. And it's not just EMFs from radio stations, from all that stuff. It's also the stress of a city. It's an energy, and that the animals pick that energy up a lot. There is a fabulous scientist called Dr. Valerie Hunt, who did a lot of scientific research into the human biofield. And she maintained, and again, she did a very good YouTube. I'll put it up on my thingy for everyone. Thingy is postmenopausal parlance for website. What she said is, you may have a cancerous tumor, you may have an injury, you may have received surgery. Any of these things, you heal in the physical body. If you want to heal 100%, you also have to heal the biofield. So, for example, with cancer, you can heal physically, but if the aura, if that biofield is not healed, and I'll tell you how you can do it, it can return. If you want to really encourage healing after an operation on your animal, work in the field as well as on the body. And the simplest way of working, your new best friend, if you want, is a figure of 8. So you can do it with your fingers or with your hands, ones big ones. But say I had a wound here, I would just figure of 8 over and out into the field. At the same time, thinking of fluffing up that duvet, getting that aura robust and full and strong over the area.
So
The
Madison,
other
can
thing,
I interrupt you there for just a second
yes,
to clarify? Like, so say I had a knee injury and I had surgery and I healed from the surgery. So physically I'm fine, but energetically there may be some remnants of that energy in
yes,
the of that injury in the matrix of the energy field around my knee.
yes,
So I would literally do this over my knee, starting like close to
yep,
my knee and building and coming
and
up and
out.
out and just really thinking about pulling
Yes.
everything up and releasing.
Exactly. And you can experiment. Are you doing it with all your fingers? Are you doing it with your index or your middle finger or your 3 fingers? They all carry a different energy. And what I would encourage you to do, especially if you're doing it on yourself, is what feels as if it's making the most impact, as if it's changing that energy. And so if, for example, it was on your knee and you're doing it on yourself, you might sit there as you watch the news or something, and you're just doing it, or you may in bed make it a little meditation. You can also, and this goes for animals as well, a great essential oil, you're not going to put it directly on your animal. You just rub a little bit of frankincense oil, organic essential oil frankincense. And that really is helpful in working in the biofield on human or animals. The other thing, if you like crystals, is selenite. Selenite is a very inexpensive crystal. Be careful because water will break it down. But it works extremely well to sort of comb and fluff up the aura. So experiment and have fun and retain in your mind over yourself or your animal that idea of fluffing up, of getting it out and nice and robust again. So does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total
Yeah.
sense.
And
I love
I
it.
mean, I don't know if you can see here, probably not. I have 10 stitches down there. And I sat with frankincense and just figure of 8 every day. Whenever I thought about it, I would often use this finger. I like this finger. And this finger is a very good finger to use when you're moving energy on an animal, because it relates to your inner gatekeeper, your pericardium, your heart protector. And it's very sensitive energy from this finger. It's on both hands. And so your animals will accept working with this finger very, very easily because it's very yin, it's very gentle, but it moves it well. So that's what I did on there. And not many people notice the scar.
Yeah, I can't see it at
I
all.
know. What else can you do? I would say another thing is when you may decide to trace the meridians on an animal. They're in very similar pathways as to humans. And also we're not acupuncturists, we're not putting needles in. So if you use the whole hand, you and the intention, you can move the energy along a specific meridian to affect an organ or to affect the associated emotions on that. But what I would say whenever you're doing that is clean, these are your tools, and clean them first. And by that, I mean just rubbing together and shaking off, because that gets rid of any old, stale, tired energy that the animal will pick up on. So when you have nice, clean tools and maybe using the middle finger with the palm, that's a very accepting touch for most animals. But experiment with those with those different types of touches. With chakra energy and animals, as with humans, comes out. So what is quite nice, especially on most animals, the base of the tail, right at the base of the back where the tail comes up, just doing anti-clockwise or clockwise circles over that area, and again drawing it out. The rule of thumb, but it's only a rule of thumb, is left hand goes anti-clockwise over the animal and the right hand goes clockwise, if you imagine a clock face on that area. So that would work very much with pulling the chakra energies out. And one of the reason it works very well there is this is their base, the base chakra in that area, and that is their feeling of belonging, their tribal belief. But it's also over if you go deeper down, it's over their productive organs. So it's very good for any fertility, any endocrine problems, any of the chakra work is. Now, have I got room for one more?
One more, yep.
One more. A great thing is if you can learn to energy test. And if you learn to energy test and surrogate test, the world opens up for you, because you can energy test. I'll mention two things. One is your animal's diet. Does it match their unique body chemistry? And this is particularly useful if you have an animal with skin problems, because often it reflects down not just to stress and everything, but also the diet they have. And changing their diet to choose food that suits their body chemistry can often really help the skin as well as any intestinal problems. And the other thing, if you can surrogate test, you can test not only organs, but what's very useful is joints. So you could go along the vertebrae and surrogate test where horses, especially, this is fabulous on, where is there a weakness in a vertebrae on any of the joints. So if you have an old or slightly arthritic dog, you can test to see where is the energy stuck. And remember, I said at the beginning, when you've got stuck energy, you will have pain. So an idea to say you had an arthritic dog, his hip was, or her hip was showing weak when you tested, you just, I haven't got it here, get a little hairbrush, okay? Depending, as long as it's not painful for them, or use your fingers in their field, or hairbrush in their field, and you just tap. So you're waking up that stagnant energy. But what you must do, don't forget to do this, wake it all up and then brush it off the nearest limb. So it would be off that leg. So you wake it up, brush off the stale energy, which means fresh energy can come into that joint and help alleviate some of the pain.
Which goes back exactly to where we started with, you're just moving energy because energy needs to move. And when you do that, then you allow the healing to happen.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
You have a knack of just encapsulating it in one.
Thank you.
No.
Madison, anything else we need to know about that?
I think the one thing I would say to you, if you're thinking of using energy medicine with your animal, is cultivate belief. Okay, there is sometimes that little area beyond our conscious control. I call it mini me. And it's like, don't you go healing your animal. Oh, you know what happened in the last lifetime? You know what happened last time? Oh, don't take all this ridiculous, illogical chatter. So you need to make sure that your mini me, that area outside your conscious control, is happy to cultivate belief in your ability to help your animal. And one of the easiest ways is to put your left hand on your heart, and with my favorite finger, my pericardium finger, tap at the base of these two knuckles. So you come to the base of this one and this one, just here, you'll find a little indentation. You tap here, I'll tell you what it does in a minute, and you just say, and you smile as you say, it's slightly, a bit clowny, it's now safe for me to work, I'll use Merlin. It is now safe for me to work with Merlin's energy, to heal and support him. It's easy, it's organic, I can do it. Oh, I can do it well. And you say that 3 or 4 times. And I know it seems a bit silly, sort of smiling like that, but that's releasing endorphins. It is actually persuading that mini me, oh, that's quite a good idea. Doesn't seem any danger in that. Okay, we'll let her be open to that today. This particular thing is you're connecting to your heart, the best healing energy that you can possibly have. you're using your inner gatekeeper, which is this middle finger, to tap. The point here is a triple warmer point. If you think of triple warmer as your outer gatekeeper, they're the ones that control what you let in and what you let out. So you're saying by doing this, it's safe. Come on, gatekeepers, open your heart, let in and let out. And also tapping over the thymus gland puts you into a temporary state of balance. And therefore, your mini-me is going to be much more open to accepting that suggestion that it is indeed safe for you to work with your animal, okay? So believe you can do it. Believe in your animal's ability to self-heal, that you're going to trigger, that you're going to amplify. Don't try too hard, okay? Don't judge yourself or the outcome. Know that whatever you do will help your animal. So we all have little egos, however much we try to let go of them. And secretly, we'd all love miracle results. Hallelujah, you know? And that does occasionally happen, Cara, but more often than not, you will just be a gentle catalyst for a healthy change in your animal. And whether that shows up in an hour, a day, a week, a month, it will show up. So never doubt it. Believe in yourself, believe in the animal, and don't doubt the outcome. And just find that still, we're back to where we began. Find that stillness within and connect to your heart energy, and you can do no harm.
Oh, I love it. This is so inspiring, and it feels so practical too. I feel like as soon as we get done here, I can go sit down with one of my dogs and
Yes.
just start right there. So Madison King, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today.
It's a real pleasure, Cara. Thank you.
And Madison, you have on your website 5, count them 5, free gifts for everybody. We have a button right here on this page that will get everybody over to that page on your website. But why don't you want to tell people about what you have over there for them?
Yes, I will. I'm very excited about my website because it's my proper grown-up website, which launched late last year. And just a little bit of background, everything is free that I'm going to talk about now, because these are things which I really think make a difference to people. One is how to self-test, energy test, okay? If you can learn how to self-test, and I offer 3 or 4 different ways, and you try them and you choose one way, it is one of the most useful self-empowerment tools you can have, from knowing what to eat to the effect that a supplement or something has on you. So that's a little booklet on how to self-test successfully. The other thing is, I'm not going to tell you what it is, you'll have to go on and have a look at it, is a little technique I have, which is I call a cure-all. So when you don't know, and it does cross over to animals as well, but when you don't know what to do, you've got the flu, you don't feel right, something's wrong, you say, oh, I need a bit of my inner healer needs a bit of a boost. This is what I go to, or sometimes with clients when I think I can't even pronounce what's wrong with them, let alone know what to do. This is what I go to. It's a real cure-all. If I was a snake oil seller in the Wild West, I'd make a fortune with it, you know. But it's yours. Just try it. The other thing I think is really important for ourselves when we work with our own bodies and other humans and animals is to be grounded. You know, grounding is sort of, oh yeah, everyone's sort of, oh yeah, that's fine, I'm grounded. But to be really grounded, it's a two-way street, okay? We can discharge all that stale, stagnant energy, and we pull in the amazing yin, nurturing, nourishing, and healing energy from the earth. Whether you use that on yourself or your loved one or your pets, it's there for the taking. So pay attention to your grounding. We need it more and more as we live in high-rise buildings, we drive in cars, we fly in aeroplanes. We're becoming more and more detached from the earth. We were meant to be barefoot. And in actual fact, I do have a module on my website. I love this title, Barefoot Revolution. You know, we are meant to be barefoot. Not always practical if you're living in the center of a city, but have a look. The other thing I have is a meditation called the Sacred Triad. This I've taught all my students, and they all love it. Well, they tell me they love it. And that is a meditation which you can follow, and then you can then adjust it in your own words. But basically, it's bringing up that yin energy I just mentioned, bringing down the yang energy. You always have yin and yang, and you mix it together in your heart center, and then you travel it out to your hands, and you have that sacred triad of energy in your hands to work on yourself, another human, of course, your animal companion. And there's something else which I can't remember now, another meditation, I think. But do go on there, have a look at them all, enjoy them, and do what resonates with you. Some things you think, oh my gosh, that is fabulous. I love it. It's going to make a change. And others you think, not ready for that one yet. So choose, be discerning what moves energy in you, what makes you feel better. And I've also started blogging, and I am even a vlogger. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I'm a blogger and a vlogger. And it's all up there on my website. So I really hope you go and visit it and enjoy it, and sign up for the newsletter.
There you go. So, and we have a button to connect everybody over there. And Madison is going to come back, and she is going to do a bonus interview all about showing us a simple way to balance ourselves and our pets. So be sure to come back for that. And you can get access to that bonus interview with your All Access Pass. This allows you to watch all of the interviews in the summit, all of the bonus interviews in the summit, all of the material and content in the summit anytime you want. You get lifetime access, and the price goes up when the summit ends. So act now to get the best value. Come on back and learn more from Madison, have some more fun with this, and allow her to empower you to balance yourself and your pet. Thanks, Madison King, for being here and sharing energy medicine for animals with us.
It's my pleasure. It's been a real joy.
For me too. I can't stop smiling. And thanks everybody for being part of the community. Come
Yes.
on over to the Facebook group and let us know, what did you learn today? What have you tried? What are you going to try? How did it go? We will have a
Oh, yeah.
conversation over there all about energy medicine for animals, and I can't wait to have that conversation with you. One more time, thanks everybody for being part of the summit and the community. And thank you again, Madison King, for inspiring and educating us.
It's my pleasure, Cara. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.